really started to get personal to where the sets started really fighting each other. Other than that, it was little sprinkles of conflicts that were resolved one way or the other, but it never was a group thing the way he did this. But starting in '79, the majority of the foundations of the Crips started going to prison and staying in longer terms, and other ones started coming in, taking over leadership. Because by now we got to fight in prison. That's a whole other story to what happened to us, where we had been predators, but now we're the prey when we go to prison, because everybody been in violence, ATF, Mexican Mafia, and Brotherhood, the police, but the majority of the body of the Crips were juveniles that brought them. That's why he didn't he never went to prison or jail after 1972, because they wouldn't have been able to do what we was doing. 2 years for murder, carjacking wasn't invented. They call that GTA. Get caught with a gun, they get it back. And that's when they created the juvenile fitness center that covers the land now, after they realized, hey, these cats cannot be rehabilitated, so they created a term for us called incorrigible. Ain't nothing we can do to save them. Then Rosie Greer started the first gang intervention program in 1976-77, where we was getting $50 to come twice a week, 2 hours a day, twice a week, and we get $50. And we had all of it: Pudding, Tam, Bodacious, Little Caesar, Bulldog, Sugar Bear. All you could pick 2 representatives from the set, but the buses went on strike, and they bought a van. And the first blood that came there, they had been saying, we don't want to get each Crips our addresses and pick them up. And the first one they picked up, they killed him at the van. Then they had a shootout at the program we had, the long table, and that was in '76. So that's the little history on that. But starting in '79 was when the divide really, when it got real personal, real heavy. They started breaking on the west side.
Do you think that the drug has something to do with a little bit of the conflict as well?
Well, I tell you what the drugs did do when it started coming in '77, when they started off ether based, and cocaine was still $55,000, 55 a key. What it did bring was also automatic weapons, weapons of war, the Uzis and all that. So we had been using 38s, 22. A shotgun was the equivalent of Uzi to us. A sawed-off shotgun, they didn't have it. So I think the drugs also played a role in it, because now you had guys that when we was going to prison and jail, you had to be hardcore violent offenses. When the drug gang came in, it started making it where these guys could get in the game and influence people with money, like get jumped in nowadays. We couldn't get jumped in. You had to do 2 things: pull that trigger and fight. That's the only way we could get in. There was no dressing up and acting and imitating, where you got more graduation pictures than murder shots. I never took a graduation picture. Never had. Yes,
what's up, Melvin? What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
That's my boy Melvin right there.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh man, I'm just surprised to see you up in the clubhouse, man.
Oh man, you know, every now and then I sit up and sneak in here, but really when anybody asks me to come, I come on any show to help anybody out that's trying to do better and make it a better place for our youth and the elderly and people to get it and live a life and go from being a tax burden to a taxpayer. So I don't mind. I pop up every now and then like Jack in the Box.
I think Melvin Farmer is one of the first guys I ever met from that generation. I know dozens. You're the first guy I met.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yeah. And I'm going to interview. Right, Melvin? Who's the first one to interview you, Melvin?
This is who this I got so much going on.
Yeah, that's Alex.
Oh yeah, what's up, Alex? Well, you know, it depends on when you say the first interview because I've been being interviewed and being on TV since '98 when I was the first one to ever get out from a life sentence under the California 3 strikes law.
And remember that? And everyone should go get your book. What is it? Slave Ship?
The New Slave Ship. A ship that doesn't sail. 3 strikes you in. It's still relevant today.
I got it on my desk.
Yes, sir. How your family doing?
Oh, everybody's doing good, man.
Yeah. You've been out the way a little while, young man. I'm surprised that we don't.
COVID, man. Ever since COVID, man, things have changed.
Yeah, they have.
Hey, Alex, respectfully, we gotta continue.
Go ahead.
Oh,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so you said that, that you feel that the drugs contributed to the violence and, them arming themselves with better guns to combat other rights.
Yeah, I can't hear you, but yeah, I seen the change in the weaponry, and I seen how the prison started getting guys that were drug dealers and non-violent offenses, which later on contributed to this new, to help perpetuate this new industry called prison. But the drugs definitely had an effect right on in, and now you can see in hindsight the damage that's why the mafia didn't like selling drugs because it know it would ruin a community. In the long run, you might win, get money and everything else, but there's gonna be a mass disappointment when it's going because it's irreversible. Look at how many people have been mentally ill, and now I'm starting to see a lot of that with ether basin and all that. As they don't got older, they all dying of heart problem from the use of drugs later on. So the drugs played a heavenly role in there, and it, in fact, it changed the whole dynamics in the city because of that. And then the rap game come out, and the colors and the menace society that started depicting the behavior that we was doing. We didn't know no better. We didn't have nobody to tell us don't do this. Whereas now, 50 years later, 90% of the guys I'm around that grew up back then are either dead in prison or too old to work. They have nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for this. Nothing to show. And a lot of times they think, oh, we bragging when we talk about our past. I never brag because I'm not proud, not one goddamn bit, about what the hell I did. I had to be the biggest goddamn fool in the world. But God didn't close the door. I don't have 2 life sentences, sentenced to life, where man tried to take my life, not including how many times they don't try to assassinate me. But he's been watching over. But I know them life sentences. I didn't say, oh, homeboy. I was saying, oh, God, just give me one more chance. So it took me 50 years to get where I done went full circle, to where I realized I want to make my mama proud. And I ask a lot of these cats that don't get 30, 40, 50 years, 50 arrests and this, man, what's the number one thing that hurts you? And we all said at the same time, I hurt my motherfucking mama. And we didn't listen to them. So I feel bad to look in my mama's eyes, because my mama had me at 15. We like sister and brothers. And I did that to my mama and dragged her through the dirt. Every time I look, that's what I did. That I hurt my mama. Tony Stacy, 5-time convicted murder. When his mama died, he cried like a baby. Jimmy Daniels, Hoover assassin, convicted of 6 murders, cried like a baby. So we don't glorify this. In fact, you very hear our era talk about our era because of the violence associated with our era. You could never do what we did and get away with it. 30, 40, 50 arrests in 4 years. Murder getting 2 years. We didn't know no better. We didn't have nobody to tell us this. It was Soul Train, gang banging, and pop locking. That's what was going on in 71, 72, 73, 74, 75. And then a lot of us thought when we was going to jail, it was better than being at home because you're sleeping in two beds with one bed with two persons. Your mother getting beat on at 15. I heard my mama cry, and I'm hearing my mama just holler, and I'm hearing skin hitting skin, and I realized it's my daddy abusing my mama. At 15, I had a 38 pistol. I hid in a little corner of that room, and I called him, so help me God. And I said these words: if I ever hear my mama holler like this, and I had that pistol right up under his arms, I would use this. And he never touched my mama again. So a lot of us was witness to domestic violence before it even became fashionable. And that's why a lot of us had resentment toward men and authority because of this. Because our parents came and migrated from the South. Everything from 1950 down, the majority of those people came and migrated here. I'm an original Los Angeles, Los Angelino, born in 57. So we were the new faces of Los Angeles, particularly on the west side. But at the end of the day, all I can say is, man, it's a better way. That's all I can say. It's a better way. You got choices. You can go left or right or create your own path. But don't waste your time and hurt other people and your family. It's not worth it. I promise you it's not worth it. Michael Conception got more money. Lamar. Because a lot of people don't know Michael Conception can't even read, but he can count money. He weigh money now. And his mama died of cancer back in about 75, 76, because I was with him before he got paralyzed. I was an original member of Grand Jury Records when the hip hop game started, and we made all in the same game. But I went to prison for a jewelry store robbery and missed out on the majority of the things that he got going on now. This house with the big house, over 50 rooms in it, his estate. I was there when he planted the first brick to make that. Signed the wall. So he's one of the very few, Big U, Whack, and they come in later on, but he's one of the very few from our era that is successful. Very few, very, very, very few from the 70s at the beginning that have something to show for the shit that we did.
That's interesting. So I noticed you spoke on certain police brutality. Can you speak on, like, because I always used to hear people from the West Coast saying that the police would do things to ignite wars and things of that nature.
Yeah, I can speak on an incident where a body was dumped in a hood, and I get a call. Hey man, somebody just dumped a body, and they wrote like fuck whatever set that hood was, and it was from a church. So they called me and they say, man, did y'all do this? But we don't think that happened because we didn't hear no shots, we don't see no bullets, we just see a dumped body. And that was more than likely the police that did that. Then I seen back in the day they had sheriffs that ran the hundreds. That's where the underground, the 111, the 100 days, 100 nights. That's why I used to sound my oats at, because I could go up there and fuck off because I didn't know nobody up there. And it's easy to kill a stranger. Easy to kill a stranger. And they used to have a police named Lucci. He was attacked and carry his gloves in his back pocket. They would come and block off the alley like Tookie and all of them. They'd be in there fighting. And I remember another time I was walking down the alley and police pulled up, put my hands, I was about 15, put my hands on top of the hood where the hood was hot. And they say, nigga, take off running. But I knew if I'd have ran, they'd have shot me in my back. Even at 15, so I dropped to my knees in the dirt and I told them, if you shoot me, they don't know I was on my knees because I dug them in the dirt. He kicked me right in my spine. He said, get the fuck up out of here. I'm on 83 years parole now from Georgia, where I just got out 5 years in the chain gang, to where the police pulled me over and played their good over some bullshit. The next thing I know, I got shot at, beat up, tased, and for no reason with my hands. These are the type of things that occur when you're dealing with law enforcement. So I do believe that the police go and create situations that adversely affect the community where they probably have done murders and other things and blame it on gangs. Like another murder happened in Inglewood about 2 years ago. And Inglewood and the Van Ness boys got in something. And they ran through a spot where the 8 trades was. They put us up under surveillance, put me under surveillance, and then tried to assassinate me where they sneaked up on me after rolling their car with the engine off and the lights off and opened my door unannounced. And if it wouldn't have been a girl in the car with me, after she woke up from fainting from being so scared, and she never spoke to me since. Her name is Angela Barrison, and she can identify. If she wouldn't have been there, they'd have killed me where they'd set the phone that I was holding looked like a weapon. So actually with the FBI are investigating that. So there's a lot of crooked cops, and that go back to freeway rigging and the Contra Nostras and all that. So it's always been police that live in our community, but they have no vested interest in that community. So they are renegades, like a hoe without a pimp. They do what they want. So I do believe that is ingrained also, and even more so now because of Black Lives Matter. If you think you're going to talk about these white police when they kill a black man, turn around and call him when some shit happens, they not coming. They not coming. And that is exactly the attitude right now in the city of Los Angeles. It's crazy as hell out here. This shit ain't cool out here. They dropping left and right, but you won't hear because of the corruption that go on within the politicians and the social forum and outlets and medias that could report this. But I promise you right now, LA ain't the place to be, bro. It ain't the place to be. They just killed my buddy's brother. They just killed his wife, and it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna reset the room real quick. Y'all are right now in the Eastern District, tapping in with OG, 8 Trey, Melvin Farmer. Follow all of the moderators if you're trying to get up on stage. Make sure you are a member of this room, meaning that you follow the clubhouse at the top. If you are trying to get a PTR, tap in with Pink Sugar and she can get you a custom-made PTR. The benefits of that means you will be able to get on stage as soon as we open up. I hope y'all loving this content. Y'all, like I said, we are in the Eastern District on Clubhouse for those that may be viewing this on YouTube. And we are in here with Melvin Farmer. So my next question is, how were you affected when the Rodney King video dropped? Like, where were you at that time? And just what was the energy around that time?
Well, in fact, I was in prison. I was at Tell It All Avenue, and they called me up front right when the riots had started to break with the LA Bowl, Reginald Denny, and Florence and Normandy. But for me being in prison, what had happened prior to that, right when Rodney King first got beat up, I got arrested in Pasadena. And the case was just starting, and we got arrested for boosting. So it was 4 of us. So they say, we in Pasadena jail. They say, do you know Rodney King? And we caught dead things. So I say, wait, this might be a way out. So I say, yeah, I know Rodney King. And they say, you know Rodney King? And I didn't know him at all. I say, yeah, I know him. They say, well, you in prison with him? I I say, yeah. And they say, well, let us talk to you. Was he violent? Was he this? Was he that? And I say, I don't know. And they say, well, we're going to let you go and all y'all going to jail. And so I end up catching a case after that. And sure enough, the police came up there, internal affairs, and tried to catch me the case after that case. But when Rodney King and the riots actually came up, they called me up to the office up front, the captain's office. And I'm thinking I'm just going up there for somebody dead in my family. What other reason could they call me? They called me to lock me up and place me in the hole right when the riot started. So I ended up going to the hole. But as far as the decision and the justice system, justice only means just us with money. And there's no way in hell that what you seen on that video shouldn't have been police brutality in this country. But that's how the system is. You learn just a nigga. And it ain't how I say it, it's how I pronounce it. When I say the word nigga, it's how I pronounce it. And so that was a lesson learned. I was very hurt and disappointed by it. And we went and rolled hard behind that in the prison once I got out the hole behind it. So it was just sad all the way around. I talked to Laura, his ex-wife. I talked to them quite a bit with their foundation, the King Foundations. I helped them. And in fact, Rodney King stayed almost by my mother, not too far from her out here in Rialto, where my mom stayed. So I still have personal contact and access to those and the original rioters, because a lot of us from A Train Group. And I got a picture with the ones that was there 20 years ago or 30 years ago, the anniversary, that were the original ones involved. I still talk to the LA for football and everybody that ended up catching the Reginald Denny case that hit him in the head with the brick. And unfortunately, football got out and caught a murder after we both had been going on a show with Viacom where he was going to actually meet Reginald Denny for the first time, but he ended up catching a murder after that. And that's how that goes. So that was my thoughts. I wasn't out when the riots came, but I was affected by it in prison because they locked me down for about 3 months behind that.
Wow. That's interesting. So what about even the Tawana Brownie case? Like how did it affect the culture out there? How did he respond to that?
Well, the Tawana Brawley case, I don't look at the ones like that. I've been involved in Taisha Miller, Yolanda Manuel, Teresa Iverson, the young lady that was killed in Vegas, Prince Jones, the Howard University student in Washington, Aaron Piano, Margaret LaVerne, Mitchell, this lady shot in court. I do civil rights. So Tawana Bradley, I really don't know the whole. That's like Fred Hampton and them. I deal with the ones that don't get the attention of the people like the Tawana Bradleys, George Floyds, and all them. I try to bring awareness to those whose lives are just as important as those that don't get the notoriety or the justice because of their financial status or they ain't working. No, I try to bring their cases. So Tawana Bradley, I don't even look at nothing like that because it doesn't affect me. Like, say, right now, the young dog got killed. And they asked me what I think of young dog. I don't know no young dog, but I know this young man that wasn't nothing but a homeless person that just got shot 8 times on Florence and Western 2 weeks ago. Those are the ones that I fight for. Who fights for them? And that's what I do. So when it comes to that national level stuff, where they just pimps of the pulpit trying to bring awareness and this, all Black lives matter to me. All of them lives important. You can't single out no one because we got millions of Tawana Bradleys out here that are unknown. But I want to make their voices and make it a human, where you can humanize this and make it a human interest stories because they got families. They got mothers. They got fathers. They got kids. But who speaks for them? real shit here. And we got to keep it real. Our fights for them, those that do not have their voices heard because of the media and they silence them. So with Toronto Bradley, it's just like a murder to me. Just a murder. At the end of the day, I don't put titles on people because if you look at the title, it say made in America. And that's my thoughts on that. I feel those are the ones that don't get their voices heard, but lose their life. And then the other people can handle that. So that's my response to that.
I understand. So it was interesting that you brought up Black Lives Matter. Like, what is your overall opinion of them? Do you feel that they're actually for Black lives and pushing for us to, because I always ask, like, what is the end goal? Like, we're marching, we're protesting, we're doing all this, but wouldn't we need to be in these state officials and try to get some type of laws to be pushed? Because even the Asians, they went through a small, little conflict or whatever that was going on, and then they immediately had a law placed on them. And I was wondering, why did that been, a goal for Black Lives Matter or any other agency? For instance, lynching is not even considered a federal hate crime.
Really?
Correct.
Yeah.
Cory Booker has been pushing for that to become a hate crime, but for some reason it's been getting a lot of resistance. So I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, Black Lives Matter didn't start off as a police brutality group. They started from a young lady in Pasadena that they were fighting the three strikes law and mass incarceration. That's what the original premises of Black Lives Matter was. Now, you're talking about when a white police kill a black person, that's wrong. But when a black or anybody else, because like I say, us as blacks, every race has an organization that will kill us because of the color of our skin, but we don't kill each other because of the areas that we stay in. Those are the hoods. So when Black Lives Matter started forming and getting a little friction and a little traction, it was the 100 Days, 100 Nights going on, 2015. When the red shoe murder happened at the car wash, then Straw Dog got killed May June the 1st. The red shoe murder happened May the 9th, 2015. That KP got killed, then BK got killed, Knockout got killed, but Get With It got killed. I started seeing that none of these kids had insurance. So I started having the newspapers and social media and outlets put this in there to where these kids could get buried, because in Los Angeles, you just can't bury no gang member nothing at any church because of the security factor involved. And so it's very hard to get a church to host a gang member's funeral. They want to charge you $17,000 to have a funeral. So at the end of the day, this brought awareness to black on black crime, which I feel once again, all lives matter. But at the end of the day, they defunded the police, they made them mad, and now there's no justice to where it's a lawless land in LA. If you call them about any type of crime, basically, they're not coming till 20, 30 minutes. We had an incident where they shot up a daycare center at St. Andrews Park. This before Marquise Cruz got killed up there in 2011. And the police, there was 7 shots fired from an automatic into a daycare center with nothing but kids. The police didn't do nothing but sit there, took a dustpan and a broom, swept bullets up and walked their ass right on off. Didn't ask nobody shit. Then told the parents, don't told the staff, don't tell the parents that this happened. And they covered it up. So you got to go to change the inner cities. You have to deal with the local elected officials and police because of the corruption that go on within this community. Particularly, there's no more corrupt political party than the Los Angeles group. And we have to quit this nepotism that exists within our local elected officials, where you see Marquise Harris, Dawson, then you might see the juniors, and then Yvonne Bradwick, Burke, Camilla Harris, all of them I know. I work with all of them. I've worked with all of them. So at the end of the day, Black Lives Matter started off one way and seemed that it was profitable another way, and they get money off the blood of us. That's how I look at it. They're made a profit. Melanie Molina, the head of them now, she done bought 2 houses from Black Lives Matter. And then they question her about it, and she on the interview want to turn around and say, I was a victim of rape when I was this and this, but that ain't what they asked them. So they're getting the money off the blood of these youth that are dying in these streets. That's what I think they do, and they used it for financial gain instead of doing something that would help change the community. And at the end of the day, we all have a role to play, so they can do something that could positively affect and influence the community. But I don't think that's our major concern as Blacks. We need to protect ourselves. And I don't mean turn your guns in. Never turn your guns in. But at least turn them away from each other. Turn them away from each other. You'll have a better life. Everything is about from that.
It's that. I got. I got OG a question. Yeah. Just being that y'all brought up the the funerals and funeral homes. I never understood why that was never like off limits, man. I mean, like, we got Big Mama, we got people, parents, we got the kids, everybody going to try to view their loved one that just passed away. I never understood why that was something that just was
accepted. And it was accepted.
I don't understand.
It was accepted. That's because people don't know the difference between a street gang and a prison gang. A prison gang has a structure. BGF, Mexican Mafia, AB, they got a chain of command. But when it comes to Crips and Bloods, we were formed on the streets. So there is no supreme leader. There is no guidance. And also, I think drugs play a role in this now. Video games play a role to where you can sit and shoot at motherfuckers running around on TV, and then you want to emulate that shit on the streets. So you're absolutely correct. I didn't understand it. When Dale Dog, we went to his funeral, and they started coming up there mocking, and then a boy from Hoover get killed by the time they moved Dale Dog's body where we was going up to the Inglewood Cemetery. By the time we made it there, I had to tell Dale Dog, brother, man, a murder just don't happen. But that is not the first time it happened. The very first time that I knew of a funeral getting shot was Big Country, when Lil Country brother got killed. And they turned and shot over his casket, and Big Country moved to San Diego. I was in camp down there in 1972, 73. And in fact, we was talking, me, him, a brother named Mel Watt Mohead from Peru, and Joey Morgan Crip from Jordan Down. This is 72, 73. We used to come home on weekend passes where they take us to San Diego. We get on the Greyhound bus on a Friday. So we see Big Country out there after Little Country, and we out here standing. And I say, what you doing out here, man? He say, man, I don't moved out here from my brother's funeral, but I'm just starting another gang. And they end up being Bloods, which they are today. But the first Blood gang I ever heard in San Diego, Skyline Drive, wasn't nothing but grasshopper and oil fields at this time. The federal building hadn't been built on Broadway. And he told me, man, I'm going to start a group called the Harlem Bloods. And that's how the Bloods end up being started out there in San Diego. That was the first time that I had. But that wasn't the first time. That was the only time up until starting in the 90s, the 80s, that they start going to funerals and disrespect them. I never could understand that either, brother. There's no safe sanctuary no more. There's no code of ethics. There's nothing. It's all gone. It's all gone because we lost sense of direction and what our purpose is in life. So,
Melvin, is it true what happened at Little Country's casket? All that story is true in 1972?
Yeah, that's true. I talked to Big Country. We were talking. I knew Country and Jimmy Stell, all them dudes. We had went to junior high and elementary together. And so most of us at that time, we all knew each other. We knew each other's families. We knew their family members, their cousins. And sometimes, a lot of times, we give each other a break. Like the last time I met Little Caesar, he'll tell you, we ain't seen each other since, but he'll tell you this, the last time he met me, I had a shotgun on his back, where he had, back then you couldn't open your car door with a key. And we was hunting in Inglewood, me, Babyface, a girl named Rona. I had a shotgun from one end of that station wagon to the back end. And, but I gave him slack. I said, we don't do it like this, bro. I said, you see, I could have got you. But I ain't gonna do that to you, bro. And that's the last time me and Little Caesar spoke, because he just asked me one day on Facebook, you remember the last time we met, Melvin? And I said, yeah, I remember, bro, when I put that shotgun to you back. And once again, I'm not bragging. These are just the facts. So I don't understand. I know that happened because also Justice Baycott, if you look at his interview, he mentions that. So other than when Country got killed until later on, about starting in the 90s to 2000s, they never did that. But for the last 10 years, it's been going down like that, to where they'll go and tear a funeral up. So usually that's why you'll see at these gang funerals, you don't see police. They'll bring in the Nation of Islam, Tony Mohammed, and the Nation of Islam will do the funerals as far as protection. And then they took them out the entertainment game. They used to be the security in entertainment till Biggie Small got killed. And that opened the door for the big U's, the Michael Perceptions, and other ones. Other than that, it used to always be the NOI, Nation of Islam Protection, that covered all this and that. So I don't understand that none whatsoever. What's the purpose to where families are grieving and you go and shoot up a funeral? Senseless. But we don't talk about it. We too worried about this nigga here talking about some bullshit. We don't worry about it. We don't do nothing about it. We are complacent in our activism. We have to be able, just like I put my line up for this street shit, I put my life up to make it better for my daughter, your daughter. I don't want to see nobody on this show get hurt. I've never been like that. And I've never been arrested for a black on black crime. Never been arrested with nobody from a train. I've been arrested at least 60 times in my life. I'm a soloist. And I quit gangbanging at 17 because it wasn't no fun no more. Now I'm trying to get money, which I've always done. Always tried to get some money. And when I was robbing banks, ice cream trucks or armored trucks at 15, I wasn't doing it just to be bad. I was doing it to try to make my mama and give her some money where I can make her agree. I always took something big to where I can pass out jewelry to all the homies when it's on the end of it. It might be Christmas. I don't rob the jewelry store. You go and watch the ring. Then I rob the fur coat. You give your mama a fur coat. I've always been like that. Robbing the hood to help serve the poor. Always been like that.
I used to hear this too, where they used to say certain hoods used to rob banks, and if they felt that they were going to get caught, they would throw the money out the window for the hood. Is that true?
Well, I've seen that, but when we was coming up, we was robbing jewelry stores, credit unions, markets, all kinds of stuff. And I never knew no group, and I ran with some of the best jackers in the world, from robbing the Coliseum, Steve-O, to my boy Ricky Sanders on death row by a biggest boy murder. From my boy, he dead now, but they shot him in the head. And he had robbed Tiffany jewelry store. The police, there was windshield, they robbed the bank across from USC. All these type, I know about a litany of robberies and murders that occurred as we was going up. Because in the drug game, when the drug came out, we had a saying for the drug dealers. Death to the motherfucking hollow. We coming to get you. And that's when they created a special task force that was called OSS, where they had put crackers on your car and they were killing us. A lot of my friends, Cadillac Bob got killed. That's Flint, Big Flint, which was Pat's boy that helped start Death Row with Ario and all these cats. Felix Mitchell, 6ix9ine Mob, 2 Degrees, Michael Jordan, all these were drug dealers, like on the big Barnes level. But we not hunting them. We hunting them Mexicans. Because we figure if we ever see any or the whites who are supplying the drugs, then we would know, hey man, this is an enemy. So we never did nothing to black because it was too easy for them to mix it to the crowd and might say, hey man, that's that boy that robbed. So we stayed off limits to them, but anybody else in that game, we come to get you. And we came to get you so hard to where when they knew we was coming to get you, they would sit in groups on the porch there and give them back. So back then, I never heard of a group that was running around throwing money. Now, when the East Coast robbed these drug dealers after they thought it was weed in the car and found out it was cocaine and came on Crenshaw and bought every low rider throwing around money, I remember that. When that happened, and that was maybe 15 years ago. But other than that, I've never known guys to be doing that, throwing no money around in no community, just giving away.
Melvin, the 40s actually did that about 10 years ago. It was on video too, because the helicopters were chasing them, and they were just throwing the money out in the hood off of Vermont and King and Vernon.
The only time was throwing the money out to try to get rid of it as evidence or something, because they probably was young and said, hey man, let's get rid of the money. Like, let me show you the difference. We had robbed a credit union. I ended up getting 10 years for this. We had a sack full of money. We had the gun in there. My crime Spud, who took it, ended up looking at the case and got 2 or 3 years knocked off, so he got out early from a reversal and ain't been back. And in fact, Tookie say after he got out on a reversal, my boy Spud say, because he had killed Spud had been up on lockdown for killing the sergeant, the last sergeant that got killed in San Quentin where he got speared on the 5th tier. My client was charged with that. And Spud told him, Took, I'm gonna look out for you till the day you get out, not die. And Took told him, Spud, all I want you to do for me is get out and don't never come back. And Spud moved to York, Pennsylvania. That was in '84. Spud been out there since. So I never knew nobody. If they were doing that, they probably was just getting rid of the evidence. Whereas when they were chasing us, we had a sack of money. We didn't let nothing go. And Spud raised up and say, at that time, it was one car chasing us. He say, man, he raised up, pulled a gun up and said, man, let me shoot this motherfucker. And I said, Spud, it's bad. I don't want to did this robbery where my mama had sent me to the store to get some goddamn bread, and I don't want to pick up 2 jackers to go do some goddamn robbing while I supposed to have been going to get some goddamn bread. When my mama got her car back, it was in the impact. But we didn't let that money go. I said, what we gonna do, you gonna get out and you gonna go and do what you gotta do to get away, but you ain't gonna kill me where we don't come back home. We gonna go and do this little time, but you ain't gonna kill the police where we don't ever come home. But he sure wanted to kill him or shoot at him to get him up off of us. So I don't know no other incidents to where they were throwing money, robbing just to throw it. They probably were throwing it just to get rid of it and out the car or something. They probably threw guns and everything. And so,
You trouble, Warren. You know you trouble, bro. Troublesome.
Wow, show the
That
That 280 is all the trouble.
But I think you want to.
Really?
Welcome to Eastern District. If you haven't already joined, please go to the top and hit the greenhouse, and also
following moderators that are up here with the green bean if you haven't already followed them. Also here, if the moderator is speaking, please do not interrupt them. Don't speak over them. Wait for them to finish, and then continue the conversation. And most know that here at Eastern, we do not ever talk over women. Let us speak, let us finish, and then continue the conversation. Today's topic is Stats 280, tapping in with OG Crip, 8 Trade, Melvin Farmer, and discussion has been great. Please, feels like Stats or someone is asking a question and Mr. Farmer is speaking, don't interrupt. This isn't a one-on-one conversation. This is actually an interview. Thank you.
So, okay.
Start. What you see today. What can you say? Like, what is your opinion of today's climate of gang men or gang men? What is your opinion?
Well, you got two sides. You got those that are active killers and those that are inactive. But I can tell you the difference in one sentence that's very important now as opposed to when we started. We were united. Y'all came in divided. So therefore, our language and conversation will never, ever be the same where you can sit somebody in front of me that started gangbanging in 86, 90, 2000, because everything you came in on was either blood on blood, Crip on Crip, or Crip on blood and Crip on Crip at the same time. We didn't have that. We stood as one. If we all came and left together, we all came back together. If we went down the Boot Hill, the Grandish, where we don't walk, snuck on buses and walked and everything else, get way out in Compton at 14, they embraced us when we went to Boot Hill, the Grandies, and all out in Compton. If we go on the east side to Avalon Gardens, or stuff, the Crips went for the Bloods because they had their own camaraderie. And that's the big difference. We came in united. Now all the factions are divided, so that makes it rough on us to where we know guys to where they started since. They didn't join since. But now, because everybody's fighting, when I'm around my friends where we old men. We got grandkids. But our association, oh, he from here, and I'm from here, and we get ostracized for our friendship behind you guys fighting group that we work together with as one. That's one of the biggest problems of this game when it comes to me. Like when the original guy that played in the bully in Ice Cube movie, and the original character of the bully, Tiny, that he played, Sam got killed by the police. Where was the outcry about that? He got shot 9 times right next door to Ice Cube mama, over there off 111th and Propeller, right up in there. Dub C mama stay over there too, because they all up in there. Silky Bryan, that song with Rome, Michael Conception. And when Sam got killed for holding the phone, nobody said a word. Where was Black Lives Matter then? He got killed by the police. He was unknown. And that's what I mean about subjectivity in here. So at the end of the day, the most biggest and the difference in then and now is the division. And that's the big difference. We were united. You guys coming in divided, attacking each other. But over the course of time, after 50 years, up in that little 1.8-mile area known as Death Valley over there on that west side, it has become to where nobody knows each other. They don't know no family members. Half these kids don't have nowhere to stay. It never was a night when we was 14, 15, 16, 17, where somebody, mama would call and say, I got Melvin over here. Or I got Took over here. I got Cutes over here. I got Mouse over here. I got Melvin Hardy over here. Never did we have to worry about where we stand at and all this. So all this is so much different now. And they seem to think that they invented the wheel when in actuality ain't nothing they doing different other than fighting each other. That's the biggest difference now. And it's easy to kill a stranger.
I want to speak on that as well. Like I noticed with the with the gang, it's that there's no brotherhood with us. And it's going back to what you said. It's like nobody has any compassion for each other. It's sad that we're actually supposed to be united, but a lot of times you'll see, like you said, Crip on Crip violence, blood on blood violence, and it just seems as if the money is the only thing that quote unquote unite us instead of us just being from the community.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real. It confuses me because a lot of times, me myself being a keyway, I tap in with all the doctors that got love for me because I show compassion to my fellow brother. And a lot of times, when you're pushing a unity agenda, it seems that us as people, black people, tend to reinstate the division, the divide. And it's very weird and strange to me that we can't just get over ourselves in order to just unite and push forward a better future, a better tomorrow. It's just weird to me. And sometimes I'll be wondering, like, is this like something within our brain that makes us go at each other when we try to, unite each other, or is this someone that is not for the community going against the community?
Well, it depends on who you listening, and right now, gangbanging is fashionable. It's been accepted, and it's been fashionable, and it's been profitable, and that's just how it is. You have a lot of resistance to change because they have nothing else better to do. A lot of these gang members ain't even been out the area code, these zip codes. That's far as they go. That's all they know. We have to create opportunity for these youth to be and give a chance to become the best that you can. And I think 3 areas that need to be addressed is the unified school district, where a lot of shit go on, the way you make change and might join a gang, parks and recreations, and the juvenile justice system must be addressed when it comes to restorative justice. I think if we would show the younger gunners, the 13s, the 14s, the 15 years old that are active, that, hey, we're proposing a bill that will make it to where you can't be tried as a juvenile and get your life taken at the age of 14 or 15. Would you fall back? Because we cannot get this for you if you fight. Now, when it comes to the next ones older, the 17, the 18, the 19-year-old that might start to be having children, might get ready to move out and jump off the porch from their mothers and fathers, we have employment for you. We have employment to where we don't have to worry about a white man inventing YouTube. We have people that are blacks that can do the very same thing, to where we don't have to go on these white shows to where we are clowning each other and they give you $2,000 to speak and they get 700,000 views and monetized and they just eat them. But nobody addresses these guys that host them, but they're very quick to come and get at somebody like you or me because they got access to it. So I learned to ignore what anybody say. I don't even look at social media. I don't even look at nothing I do a second time. I move right on the board. So at the end of the day, we have to show that we care about these youths, that we really care about them, and we're going to show you a better way by not talking about it, but being about it. And I think when they see that they have a vested interest in the outcome of what can occur, then I think they'd be more reasonable to listening. Because if you feed somebody and show them how to eat, they'll listen. But if you can't show them how to feed themselves and survive, and it starts with loving ourselves. See, if you can go do that type of shit and go through what I went to, I didn't love my goddamn self. I couldn't have. The way I could sit up here and do 30-something years in prison, 40, 60 arrests, damn near get killed, surviving numerous assassination attempts is what I call them. And for what? For what? I don't know nothing in the hood I'm claiming, not a goddamn thing. If it costs a quarter of the shit, I got to throw up at the end of the day. It wasn't working. That's all I can tell you. It was not working. There's no clear example of what happens in this game. All you got to do is look at Tuki. He got killed by the penitentiary and the criminal justice system. And Raymond Washington got killed by the streets. You're going to either go to that graveyard or that penitentiary yard 9 times out of 10 if you're about this shit. But now when you can sit up here and act and rap and never go to jail, like I say, you're just an 8 on Twitter. Twitter your motherfucking phone, your thumbs on this goddamn computer. But you have no direct impact. You get dressed up like you're a Crip, you're killing, you got a teardrop over your eye. That don't make you no hell of a motherfucker to me. Not one goddamn beat. But you got to bring your ass to get something. And I'm not the toughest nigga, but I'm a smart nigga. And once again, it ain't our second nigga, it's how I pronounce it. So I think we got to stick together as a front and get some type of unity and some type of structure when it comes, and guidelines, what is accepted and what isn't accepted, and stick by those rules, just like I have. The way I came in, that's what I stand by. I didn't let, a real leader doesn't let the majority influence them. A lot of these kids are being influenced by what they see on TV, but this ain't 48 hours we're in when they say cut. I'm 64 years old and can't walk 10 blocks in any direction in my community without maybe getting killed or shot at. And I ain't even trying to hurt nobody. Nobody. But every time I come down there, my head got to be on the swivel because of the community and the area I stay in. And that's sad, man. There is no retirement out here. That's a goddamn shame. None whatsoever. But if I go to another state, I can be Melvin not Skull from A Trade. I don't want that title. I don't want that title of being no killer or no gang member. I'm not proud of that at all. I'm not, I hold my head in shame. I do. I hold my head in shame, bro.
Stats, can I ask Melvin a question then?
Sure, I'm gonna just say this one thing. Like I'm extremely, like I felt that, like just especially coming from you, like just to say like, man, I've been through all this, and like I'm just ashamed of all of the things that
I am. I don't hold my head up on this one here. No stuff. No stuff. No stuff. No stuff. I can't hold my head out. I've seen too many mothers cry. The first time I heard a mother howl, because if you ever been at that red tape, at that yellow tape, because back in our days, 72, 73, before this shit got famous, your body would lay there over a sheet, and they might draw that chalk around you, but they'll let that family come and you identify their asses right there. And Douglas Green had got killed June 1972. This a murder that haunts me to this day because they were from the chain gang. And I told them, you know you ain't supposed to be over here, man. But I know y'all, I can walk you out. If you leave now, they won't kill you. 3 of them left, and Douglas Green stayed, and he got killed 5 minutes later. It happened on 81st and St. Andrews. I stayed on 83rd and St. Andrews, so it had cleared out. Barefoot Pookie there, Michael Conception there, Tookie there. It's an all-star cast. And I never will forget when his mother came there and seen her child, she let out a howl like an animal. And I've heard that all my life. The howl of a family member seeing their child dead. I've heard it echoes in my ears all this time. And I never will forget that woman. She was crying on a man's shoulder. And boy, when she pulled that sheet up, she howled like an animal. And I heard it over and over and over and over all my life.
All right, first let's reset the room. Nita, can you do that before I get to the next question?
Yes, I can.
Welcome to Eastern District. If you are not already a member, please go up to the top and hit the greenhouse and join. Also, if you are in the audience and you have your hand raised and you're not being pulled up, it's because you are not a part of this clubhouse, and we only have members on the stage. The other requirement for being on the stage is that you follow a couple of the moderators, and if you hit me and you're not following me, I'm not pulling you up. Also, if moderators are speaking, please do not talk over them, don't interrupt them, let them finish, and then you can answer the conversation. Right now, and also, if anybody asks me for a badge and I haven't given it to you, please send me another message because I probably just lost yours and a bunch that's been coming in. Title is, let's see if people are hitting me. Stats 280 taps in with OG Crip 8 Train Melvin Farmer. If Mr. Farmer is speaking, please do not talk over him. Let interviewers interview him, and at the end, they will give everyone a chance to ask questions. Proceed.
All right, Melvin, man, first I'd like to really thank you, man. That was real heartfelt. And that last incident about Inglewood Chain Gang member who was killed. And it really goes to show your humanity and your love for the people. You specifically said that the way that you look, the shit turned out now, what you joined and participated in, that you're not proud of it today. With that being said, a lot of people not from Los Angeles won't understand that just because you're still going to be associated with that negativity and that divide that you stand totally against. So I totally feel you on that, man. I want to commend you and thank you for painting a picture of those harsh realities, because it seems like everybody like to put lipstick on it and package it up and push that out to these kids with their narrative or whatever they want to use to continue to manipulate these youngsters, right? And I think those harsh realities that you spoke of, that a lot of these people never been through, is what do. Is there anything else you would like to say to some of these youngsters today that think that's just fashionable or something cool to do?
Well, if we end in the show, I'll say this by this. A lot of times I'm asked from psychologists, Switzerland, they all come to study my mind, and they ask, Mel, what's the #1 mistake you think you made in life? And I never read a page of the Bible, not one page of a Bible. And I always say, the only thing stronger than a man's pride is a mother's love. I did not listen to my mother. That's the worst mistake I made in my life. Because she has never told me wrong. Never told me wrong. Never. Listen to what they'll say, or parents say, was my number one regret. I did not obey my mother. I hated that. I hated it to a passion. Now my mama said, I'm getting old, Melvin. You never worked in your life. Get a job so before I die, I can tell my friends my son went to work. She said, now you just got out of Georgia prison. Don't ever break the law again. And like I say, she ain't never said this till like now, to where she really admitted that she was crying. And I promised my mother I would never break the law again, which I haven't, and that I would be here for her, to where whichever one of us go first, the other one don't be there. So at the end of the day, swallow your pride, man. People will swallow every pill known to man to stay alive, but they won't swallow that pride. That's all I got to say, bro. Listen to what we have to say. We ain't trying to tell you what to do. We understand that it's still shit going on there. But think about the decisions you make, because it could affect your life. Because I promise you, like the BGF told me when I was 20 years old in Solidad, fighting for our life. He said, let me tell you, Mel, you got too much sense to be in here, but I'm going to tell you this, your ass will wear out before that goddamn fence week. So at the end of the day, think about the choices you make in life, and are they really worth it? Are they really, really worth it? And the damage that you do. A lot of times we think when we go into jail, we're around other niggas that's in jail, we know them and that shit, and it ain't hurt nobody but you. But I promise you, at the end of the day, your mama crying, your daddy crying, your sisters crying. They the ones that you hurt when you only hurt yourself. But I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that until I looked at my mama's withered eyes, wrinkled face, and looked when my mama was vibrant and beautiful, which she still is. But I know that I can look in her eyes and see that she's been hurt by me. And that ain't a good feeling. I'm ashamed. That's all I can say.
Now, one question I wanted to ask Mr. Melvin, kind of building on what he said earlier about hearing that mother's howl, right? And often still hearing it. Like, would you classify, or would you say that that's like a form of like PTSD?
It's good you asked that, because I want to introduce a bill. That's a good question, because I want to introduce a bill. But what go on in these communities where it's a killing bill, to where it's not, I want to introduce a bill called ISIS, Inner City Stress Center, that comes from the conditions that they live in, to where they have to have some type of mental conditions from the conditions that they have. They have to have some type of mental incapabilities to where they are unstable. When you wake up in the morning and got to go to school stepping over a dead body, or when you can't go out to trick or treat, or when you hear gunshots on the 4th of July, you have to have some type of mental instability. And I think they should make something for these inner city youths and kids, parents and mothers, called Inner City Stress Center. The conditions that are caused by the conditions adversely affecting us in our community. We need to check into mental health, education, drug addiction, mass incarceration. All this needs to be addressed, because when you mix them all together, it makes a cocktail that creates a genocide. Quietly, we have been activating a genocide amongst our population. Does not increase, it decreases, yet we are 40-something% of the prison population, yet we only 5% or 8% of the national population. So our reproduction's not going down, or we're not being in the polls to where we're being outgunned, whether Latinos stacking up and voting. We ain't gonna have nothing. We're gonna be the third party out. if we don't watch it and come up. Everybody moving us out. The Latinos don't come by barbecue. They don't come by nothing from a black business, but we'll go buy a taco quicker than a motherfucker. And that money does not come back. We have to learn to recycle our dollars, economical empowerment, and build. As a Mason, we must build, not destroy.
Oh, gee, that's so true. I've never seen a Mexican brother or sister in a soul food spot. That's real.
They not. And what's even more sad, all those homes on the west side that I knew black parents worked hard and bought, they're buying them all out. And once they get them, they're not coming back to you. They gonna stack up. We need to stack up and get ready, man, and build, not destroy. They never bring their money to us. When I used to play sports, you had McDonald's that sponsored us, Boys Market, the tire company. We had sponsorship, but now because of the change in the Democrats in the businesses that are owned by Koreans and Mexicans, they're not gonna share nothing with us. But we quit to go and patronize them. We need to patronize ourselves. And even more colder, they won't crush them, try to friendly extortion or make them pay. But you open a mom and pop shop. Where you from, homie? Well, you don't have to pay taxes to be over here. But they don't do nothing to them. They'll walk straight past their ass to come mess with your business. I see it all the time. These are things that people don't know that occur in the city. Because they created a maze to where we can't go 10 blocks in any direction. So what does a rat do? If a rat is locked up, they're going to eat themselves up. And that's exactly the conditions that we live in. They created it the way y'all go on and fuck the law. But I see when they was looting them stores in Beverly Hills, I see that they around and took extra police and sent them down there to protect persons, but they won't send them to protect the person in our inner city. So we really need to wake up on what's really going on and who really there. Who really is there, man? It ain't us. It's them. We got to stand tall and firm and die. If you gonna die for something that's helping our people. Not for something where you just, because I stayed on 83rd, that's my hood. And this, nah, man, let it go. It's time for change. It's time for change. And if it doesn't happen now, this history's gonna be gone to where they're gonna be looking at what these cats done now is how it is, and I don't think it can come back. I don't think it can turn back. Not no time soon. Not no time soon.
Well, I'm with you. This Lamonte, I'm with you on the ISIS thing, so we definitely gonna.
Yeah, we could I think we could write an initiative and put it on the ballot and see, or legislation or through the ballot or initiative and see what that does. But I think there should be, just like when the white man went to war, that's what was created on. I think these youths and families have to have some type of mental instability from the things that they've been through and witnessed.
I studied a little bit about that. I think in California it's going to take 600,000 signatures to get that.
Yeah, that's to make it official. And once you get, because I did an initiative drive ballot in 2000 where we had the California 3 Strikes initiative where we was trying to overturn it. And they wouldn't start reporting it till we got 300,000 votes. So that's about half of what you just said, and you're absolutely correct. Once you get to 600, 300, that means you got it halfway there. Then the newspapers will start reporting it, the media, and once you get that 600, it's on the ballot. You're absolutely correct. Or you can go legislative, where you can write SB, Senate bill, this or that, and try to amend it also. So you're absolutely correct in your study. I've been through that before. You're absolutely correct. The pen is mightier than the sword.
Anybody, if we got any questions, raise your hand, because I know we had the brother on here a long time. I wish he could talk all day, every day, because this is what the youngsters need to be hearing.
Yes, sir.
I'm about to say, how you feel about Wack? The way Wack is talking about shit not right now.
I don't look at social media, so unless somebody tell me, I won't know what's going on. And then, because it's too much slander and hate going on to create a buzz where they trying to get likes and sound bites. I'm just trying to save a life. So I don't look at none of that. What did Wack say?
Yeah, I think it was basically just discrediting the man, you know what I'm saying? Basically letting it know the only reason he had power from the jump was because he had money and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? He felt like he was a real blood, I should say, his words. Like, he didn't go, he went to college basically, he didn't have to do all that. Like, you know what I'm saying? He got all the power afterwards, you know what I'm saying? He didn't get it free, he didn't grow up getting it.
So he didn't earn his reputation. He didn't pay his dues the way he think he ain't that. Now I deal with Mob B, Suge Knight, Tola Marvin, Reggie Wright, and others that were from there. In fact, I talked to Suge and did the last Who Killed Biggie Tupac special with Fox, to where I got him $75,000 sent to him to where he could get the call, and that's how Ice-T and Solidarity Brian. But like, I try to stay out of making comments like that. But I know Marv told me this. I told Marvin, who was there when Terry Carter got killed at the thing and dragged bombs out. He said, Suge has done good things, but Melvin, nobody I've seen done more than you with no money. You've done much more than with Suge Knight or damn near anybody with money in the rap game that haven't done shit. But as for when I met Wack, and this is how I met Wack, and I'm gonna just say the character of him when I met him. He was still managing game, and he was at the Savoy Club, and he was in the bathroom counting money about 3 years ago. So I seen him counting money. I didn't know who he was. So I said, young G, I'm gonna step out while you count your money. He didn't know me, and he said, oh, G, you seem kind of cool. Stay right here, bro. So he went to count his money. Then he turned around and he said, what's your name? And I never say my whole name because there ain't no telling what the fuck right on. So I said, my name, Bill. And he said, I'm Wack. And he said, well, do you know Big U? And I just simply said, yeah, I know Big U. Then I say, but I also know I told Marvin from Power Blue. I said, I'm going to call you right now that you holler at me. I gave Wack the phone. We in the bathroom. After he got through talking, I told Marvin. He said, check this out, OG. I like you. Come with me up the stage. And that's how I met Wack. And that's the experience of what I know about him. He was very respectful. He didn't know me. He took me up there. He went and did some shit. I guess it's when you go live and he had me standing there. And that's what I knew the Wack that I met at that time. So a lot of times I don't get into making comments about opinions, because no matter how small a pancake is, it can always be left. So I avoid making comments and stay focused on what I do and what I can do to help serve the community and change a young man's life at the end of the day. But as far as Suge, it's no more different. You got a lot of guys that are claiming Crip, blood, Mexican mafia, whatever. And like I say, they got more graduation pictures than mug shots. So that's my opinion. There is no opinion about that. You know, because social media, you can be whoever you want to be on here. So I have no opinion on that. I just wish the brother, hopefully, that he would get out, because I do know one thing of importance when it comes to the criminal justice system. They caused his mother to die behind locking him up where he couldn't get no business from his mother, couldn't get no business from his attorneys, in isolation every day. He went through hell, but I know right now he's sitting in there hurting because he never got to see his mother. And I really believe she died of a broken heart. I really believe that. And she never seen him. So that's what I look at on Suge. No matter what he did, I still look at him without the title as a man that's incarcerated. Well, because I had as a weapon, and it takes an intent to do it. Suge shouldn't have got that amount of time behind that incident. And in fact, he probably would have beat it if he didn't have that other Mickey Mouse ass assault case that made him eligible for 3 strikes if he got found guilty. And that's oh, I didn't know that. But that's the case that actually made him have to take the deal, or else he was gonna get found guilty of that. And that's why he had to swallow that soup, because that would have gotten 25 with the L, and with the other one, that'd have been 50 years, and with his prize, he probably would have ended up with 100 and something years, plus the L up under the California 3 strikes law, which needs to be revisited, because all of us, when I got my life sentence, 35 to life for $2 worth of drugs, I got 38 to life. My 8 prior prison terms was prior to the law even being enacted. So they don't make a law that went backwards, retroactive, for something that I plea bargained for in 74, 75, to where when the 3 strikes law come out March 7th, 1994, I was one of the first to get framed, and I ended up with 35 years to life for a $2 possession of drugs. So I would look at it like, if I'm gonna talk about Suge, I'm gonna talk about the criminal justice system, not about whether he did this with whack or whack like this. That's between them. But I know it can resolve the way why you saying it when a man not here. You say that, the man not here. He's irrelevant right now. So what's the purpose of bringing up Suge Knight when he's in a stand-up call way in San Diego? I just seen his baby mama, Sharita. She stay in Vegas, and his daughter going to see him. And I inquire about him a lot because I talk to Reggie Wright a lot also. We supposed to have been posting the show. So like I say, at the end of the day, I try to avoid the fodder, don't make no comments, and stay in my own lane to where I don't get caught up in the nonsense of bickering back and forth over social media, and that we know the FBI, ATF, and every other goddamn agency is looking at, but yet putting out shit. So I avoid making comments about other people and their personal opinions and stance.
I appreciate that. So listen, y'all are in the Eastern District. This is Stats 280. Tap in with the OG Crip, Trey, Melvin Farmer. This is like, I was like, a lot of this is like I'm just taking in a lot of great information, valuable information. And this is like phenomenal to me, because it's like, to hear somebody who's been through it all, and just to say, man, like coaching and how I'm coming from, and just to hear, speak on PTSD, the mental health, and these are the things that we should be talking about, because a lot of people don't tell the raw reality of this culture, of this game and culture. It's a lot of trauma, untreated trauma, that goes on and it plagues our community to the point where we don't even love ourselves. We don't understand what love is. I'm a victim of it. I can relate to a lot of times when he said, he didn't love himself, because that's how I felt at one point in time as well. And swap against what he said about my culture, being a black man, finding pride in being a black man, not finding pride in being a gang member, being a Crip. You gotta find pride in being a man of black. That's what we should really see. Because once you start yourself, you're gonna find that you can easily begin to love others. And please be up, please. You can find yourself, being easily being able to communicate with your fellow man. It's so important we live in community, but we don't even speak to our men. We don't have that togetherness no more. So when me and my brother Lamonte, I'm a Keyway, he a Darmo. I'm from the East, he's from the West. We looking like Shaq and Cole.
because we trying to push a unity agenda, not a separation agenda, not an East and a West. No, this is a black thing. This ain't about no separation. So for a lot of people that just, they just get caught up in hype, the glitz and the glamour. All that sound cool, all that sound good. But once you become of age, you gonna think back to yourself like, wow, this is what I was living for. That served no purpose. It doesn't breathe no life into nobody's lungs. It doesn't preserve no life. That right there is a death coach just even thinking. And it's sad that we have individuals on these platforms that don't mind pushing that type of agenda. They don't mind hurting a fellow black man or hurting a fellow black woman. They don't mind that. Then you should ask yourself, what is wrong with you to where as though you don't see no restraint? You don't have no morals. You don't have no compassion to your own people. You should ask yourself why you don't have that. We can't sit here and be saying, oh, the white man is doing this and the white man is doing that, but we acting just like that. We acting like modern day clan, attacking each other for the smallest and simplest of things. Only bonding with each other just because it's a monetary game. Well, we're not bonding together just to prove it and show people, look, we can get along. We can show y'all that we can, move forward in a positive way. That's the message and the narrative that we've been pushing ever since I decided to make this a platform for me to speak on. And it saddens, like I'm truly sad to hear that people will go against when you're trying to create unity. It saddens. Like it makes me feel alienated for all of the things that I did as far as the corruption that I could done in my community without even thinking about it due to the fact that I was a victim of circumstance. It wasn't because I thought it was right. My right was a lot of people's wrong. There's been times I slept on park benches, gangbanging in the middle with all this shit. But I'm not proud of none of this. Because a lot of the things I did, even though I wasn't even raised with no family, but I know morally I was wrong. So now by me doing this, I'm just trying to clean my history. Because at any given time or any given day, that could be my day. People still remember. So don't ever get it confused, homie. I ain't here to be no big Crip or tough this or tough nothing. I done did all that. I was a child. I did all that. I'm a grown-ass man. I had visions of having a family. I had visions of having a fully functional family, but mind you, I never even had a fucking family. So you're speaking to somebody that went through it, bro. You're not speaking to somebody that didn't go through it. I went through it. Child abuse. Seeing my first memory, my sister being killed in front of me. So you ain't talking to somebody that just sitting here glamorizing this bullshit. Bro, I went to the streets because I thought it was love there. And I seen it was there for a minute. And to those people that I had love for started going to the penitentiary. I got homies that ain't never gonna come out. I got people that may come out 10, 18 years later. But they got children out here that they can't even speak to their fathers. At the end of the day, men, we have to serve a true purpose. We gotta be there to provide. We gotta be there to protect. So at the end of the day, yeah, you could be a father, but are you actually doing the things that a father should be doing? You could be a black man, but are you doing the things a black man should be doing? We out here acting counterproductive and glorifying. We got rap music where people disrespecting the dead. But the funny thing about that is, we all got a death day, so why you mocking somebody because they got it sooner than you? But eventually you'll be right in that same position just for doing what you just did. So don't let that go over your head.
Hey, Stack, following up on that, right? that same site playing into it. Right? And that was the day I said, you know what? I'm gonna start trying to do better. I ain't got it all figured out, right? But one thing for sure, I know what my intent is gonna be, right? Brother Melvin, I love you. You a king. Thanks for not letting your life go to waste and for nothing. All of the shit you contributed to that was detrimental to our community. You can never make it all the way right, but you damn sure just got the ball moving a little bit fast. You know what I'm saying? So your life didn't go for nothing. And you still here fighting. So I stand beside you. In that battle against the system and all the inequalities that accompany that. Stats 280, I feel you. I know that you talked about your personal struggle, right? Child abuse, not having your mom nor father, right? Looking for the love, you got it in the game. If we was able to film my life and sum it up, it was the same, bro. So when we talk about divide, people push that narrative, I understand why me, you, and Melvin is on here today. Because there's only one language I believe that all people understand. That's the language of struggle. If you come from that struggle, that type of shit resonates with you, right? You have empathy. You're human when you hear that them yells in that motherfucking cemetery from your friends, mothers, and aunties, right? And they looking at you because they knowing you had influence on the lifestyle that your loved ones that you lost. You know what I'm saying? Was lit. That responsibility, Melvin, that you feel to somebody who wasn't even from your gang, right? I live with that every day, man. As far as PTSD, I got a documentary coming out, right, based on my life story, which highlights post-traumatic slave syndrome, PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, anxiety, and some of the things that I deal with at 43 today from living through the 80s and 90s with this gang subculture, right? I think that you touch bases on every single aspect of our ills, right? And they not just your ills, they are ills, right? A lot of people like to focus on the differences, the East Coast, West Coast, Crips, the blood, the Christian, the Muslim, right? Everybody is divided upon all of these things. They use these things as tools to keep us divided so that they can continue to conquer. Like in a penitentiary, right? If motherfuckers always need a bad guy, right? That's what they call friendly extortion. And yo, we need the kitty so we could, cause these fools over here is gonna do this. And that's how they open that up. Some motherfuckers' narrative is to keep that bullshit going. Because that's how they able to continue to eat. They flourish under the divide. Why would they want to change? Right? We're not focusing on that element. We're going to focus on those who like to focus on the commonalities, build within the communities across the United States, and even further than that. Right? Everywhere that injustice, racial divide, and inequalities live. Nigga, that's what we need to unify with. I'm going to rest right there.
So, Melvin, I know we haven't you up in a long time. I don't know exactly. You got to get to our understanding. You got to know what you like to, that you had to be or get to, whatever that you get to sense.
Well, we can go a couple more. We can schedule another one. Because in fact, I'm gonna be able to do a little show with 16 to life and chill, and then Tommy in a minute about.
Oh, for my boy here.
Yeah.
Tell T-Top do some salute, soldier.
Yeah, they put hook them together because I think they have a lot in common from prison. They're about the same age, and I think that'll be a very productive conversation. That's our boy. You know, he was with Beacon Radio over in Inglewood.
Right.
Yeah, we had last time I was on there, we had Treasure Eagle, Tookie's them compadres from San Quentin on their row, and they had just made the last book that Tookie had a party before he left called The Architect, and I helped them get their book signed, and in fact my publisher published that book for them, and so I'm trying to hook them up to where they can create. I think that'll be a good dialogue, just like this was today. So I'm always open to coming on this show and bringing up guests if you ask me or y'all want to do it. And I want to thank everybody because this is like therapy. It's like therapy to me because I'm an introvert. I sit by myself. I always moved by myself when I did what I did back in my day. I never ran with the crowd per se. I'm coming with you, and then we'll go do what we do. But I always marched along because I realized, and maybe that's one of the reasons I went to jail so much. But I didn't realize I was an introvert till a couple of years ago. But I've always liked to be by myself. And over all those times I went to jail, I've never been to jail with nobody from A-Train in my life. Nobody. So I'm just grateful to be able to sit in and share my experience. And once again, it's not to brag, it's just to try to give you an uncut version of what was going on then, there, now, and what's going on now since it comes to some type of resolution or conflict resolution, other than going to extreme violence. It gotta be a better way. It's gotta be a better way. So I salute everybody that tuned in and listened, the comrades and the queens that are in this struggle, because I'm learning from y'all. Y'all teach me things. And it's always, I always tell people, listening is learning and history is knowledge. And if we could do that and continue our pace, and I just learned to love myself. And T. Rogers taught me that, my boy, rest in peace. Yeah, T. Rogers taught me. And right before he died, because I used to take T. Rogers food, check on him, pick him up from the hospital, because me and him had been sour notes since we was 14 when I first met him in Dorset, when the Orleans was coming out. And that's what I mean about we knew each other. And as we got older, our friendships when we were enemies, fine. You couldn't do nothing around me to T-Rod. But when we first met, it was on. But over the years, because we knew each other, I couldn't go against him from my era against some guys. Now, I couldn't do that because we had a personal relationship. And that goes back to these cats do not have dialogue to where they can even talk to see if you even like each other. You just go and say, I don't like him because he's from mine, or I don't like him because he's from A-Train. But that's all you know. You don't know the man or the person behind that. So at the end of the day, I just feel so honored and blessed from where I don't been sitting in the jail cell all my life, to be able to sit and talk freely, move around freely. And I just appreciate life now, where I see the trees grow, I see the grass turn green, and I just learned to look at life and take it what it is and just enjoy the moment, because the only thing good about yesterday is it's over and tomorrow's never promised.
Hey, excuse me, sir. Hey, Melvin.
Yes, sir.
This is Polo, right? My project.
Yes, sir.
My number is right?
brothers and sisters, period, right?
Yes.
Like me and the homie you just speaking on, we was working on that project. It's up to God, just go call,
Yes, sir.
with all due respect, I want you to give me your insight on something that I'm bringing to your attention, which I think you're bringing.
Yes, sir.
They're all, because it's all productive. What we doing right now is we trying to move away from counterproductive, like y'all been doing on the set, we doing it in here,
Yes, sir.
Moving like 1 mile, 1 so. And this way, all be productive. And I'm developing these one now, new foundation for these brothers and sisters to start stepping in, opposed to counterproductive stuff that we've been orientated to carry out against each other. We front line though, make no mistake about it. But we doing it in a way where it's beautiful.
Salute, my brother, to you. Salute. Yes, sir. And if you need anything up in there, man, feel free to ask. I can send magazines, books that you might not be able to get. We got a publishing company. If you need any literature, send it to me and I'll send it to you free from our bookstore, man. Anything you need from a literature point of view, magazines, I got you. Or whatever you need.
I appreciate that, little one, but what we need is your input. We like one of my homies from Turk that's in a better position to help everybody get organized around one mind, one body, and that one soul I was speaking to have a common denominator or an objective that we can achieve, change something that we see so prevalent around us. You see, and he's wanting to bring about a collective body of mind to help facilitate that process without having all that other extra energy attached to us.
Yes, sir.
The black and the white type situation.
Yes.
In regards to the involvement, we just want to independently do something positive without that attachment. And that's what I think you're a perfect original. And when I say OG, it just means original. When I talk about
that's what I stand for. Yes, sir.
Right. When I say OG, it stands for original because that's how I look at my big homie Michael DeRoe and Great Boys and all of them. I look at them like they were just original. They the ones set the groundwork for us, but at the same time, this ain't what they want. Even when I was growing up, watching Tookie and Jamel at Centennial Park, we was amazed by how, structured their body was. We get our push-ups, you know what I'm saying? Whether we go watch festivals or craves, all these things we did was cultural. They carried out with everybody mixed up. And just for some reason we got separated, compromised, and we broke off into stuff that wasn't even productive. So we try to get back to that space where when we see a black man or a black woman or a child, it's all nurturing and from a development stage. You did?
Hey, I'm surprised. That was my boy, Ray Boyce. Yeah, and your other one, I remember Boyce coming up in juvenile hall.
Right. I know your history just like I know his.
Yeah, I know Boyce, man.
Right. I've been active in the culture for 46 years,
Yes, sir.
And I know me and Madball was in YA and did the suit thing together,
Mm-hmm.
Buffett and all them the dudes I grew up with.
Yeah, Johnny King, Pup.
Right.
Yeah, I just talked to him the other day.
Right.
Yeah.
We all still in here, doing what we do best, man, trying to survive and push, but we push together,
Yes, sir.
We don't even allow nothing to get in the way of that no more. It's like, you be like, damn, who is they with them? Who is them? You be shocked. You know what I'm saying? Because we showing that genuine concern for one another's livelihood. Nah, we got a bit when I get at you, you're gonna say, oh yeah, man, that's right on time. We got real people behind it, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Real people behind it that can make a difference inside our lives and other people's lives. have some of the material stuff that we be having and some of the things that they should have based on just being in the circumstances, you know. So
Yes, sir.
we just making sure the little guy get it too, but we also
Yes,
make sure it's safe in the streets. Yeah, I just want to say that though, man. It's all love to you, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, and I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, they told me 3:30, so I was like, I must have missed the whole show. He was talking about, yeah, I appreciate you, over. I thought you like the exit. I'm like, whoa, they told me 3:30. This thing, Lamont must have gave me Lamont was getting the wrong timeline. You know?
Mm-hmm. I was speaking your whole time.
Oh, okay. But hey, but if you need me for anything, bro, I'm a dollar away. You hear me? You know?
Yes, sir.
And whatever you need me for, like I used to tell the loved one, you know, T. Rogers. I used to interview T. Rogers a lot when I had my radio station. You know, and I used to always tell him, look, man, you know, your spirit is raw. You got a raw spirit, bro. It's calm, it's disciplined, it's peaceful. You know what I'm saying? These are spirits that we need to cultivate amongst all of us. You know what I'm saying? I used to love talking to him because he had that raw and that spirit that was at peace. You know what I mean? So I know when he made his transition, it was a peaceful transition. You did?
Yes, sir.
You know, I just want to say, man, we appreciate the work you've been doing too.
Yes, sir.
We've been following you out there. We've been seeing what you've been doing. We've been watching your YouTube video. We've been seeing that you've been proactive in terms of trying to save lives.
Mm-hmm.
We with you wholeheartedly on that. Make no mistake about it.
And thanks for the support, man. And I'm still attacking the 3 strikes law and criminal justice system through restorative justice, because my main focus after I got out from that life sentence and all the brothers said, don't forget about us, I still haven't forgot those words. And that was in 98 when I wrote the book. So I'm still fighting for them and trying to free you guys and get you where your voices don't get silenced by the wall. So I'm with you all the way. And if you need some of the youngsters that don't have nothing, feel free to get at me and I'll take care of them. That's the least I can do. And that'll make me feel proud that I'm giving back. That's what I want to do, to give back.
Because that means the world to them, bro.
And I know it.
That they didn't have that, and a lot of them, that's why they don't listen to a lot of them. Because they don't feel like we care. They respect me because I do spend quality time with them. You see what I'm saying? I don't negate their situation. I don't negate that the fact that they don't have the proper education. They just like we were when we started.
Yeah.
So now that we had started spending quality time with them and showing them, hey man, this is a better way to live your life right here. So don't even make the mistakes that we made, even though you didn't make the ultimate mistake of losing your freedom. Get back to these things here. Enroll in college. Get your GED. Be productive with your body, man. Get your body right. You know what I'm saying? Do these things that make you wholesome, opposed to the things that are productive to the soul. You know, so they receptive. You know, we got good vibes on. We just have to all tie it all together. Put it like that. Once we tie it all together, it's gonna be easy call.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Farmer.
Yes.
If I may, I would just like to take this opportunity to thank you for coming by and sharing all of your wisdom and knowledge with us. And I know your time is precious, and we genuinely appreciate it, and we do look forward to having you back again.
Okay.
So wonderful conversation, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and thank everybody for tuning in, and I'm very honored to have been on the show. It was a great show. Like I said, it was therapy to me to know that people still exist and we all up under one accord and what we can do to help redefine these communities and to stop this criminal justice system from robbing these youths of their lives. So I enjoyed every minute. This was the fastest 2 hours I've ever been on the show because it just flowed so really like the host as opposed to being interviewed. And it's another platform, and I hope everybody would come and support. And if you can, pick up the new slave ship. Three strikes you in, a ship that doesn't sail. It's still relevant today, addressing the criminal justice system here in the state of California, which is the only state that segregates within a prison in the United States, because everywhere else is illegal. And I just say once again, thank you, everybody. I had a wonderful time.
No, thank you, Melvin. You're welcome here. Anything you try to promote, or if you just want to dialogue with us, go to the top where it say Eastern District. You'll see that little green house. You get a notification. And you family here, big bro. You know what I'm saying? We got the same objective, peace, and to overturn some of these laws that's impacting our community. So you always welcome here with, if you want to promote your product, whatever you want to do, as long as it's positive, you got a home here, man.
All right, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. And to all a good night. We'll try to get my house. All right, thanks everybody. See you later.
See you later. Love, one struggle.
One love, one life.
Yes, sir. One love, one life.
One love, one life.
One love, one life.
All right, peace.
Peace. Thanks for Melvin, man. Hey, Stats, I know you wanted me to speak on this, right? Let me find it real quick so I can make sure I quote it right. If you look at my PTR, you'll be able to see it, right? Whenever a black man cares for his people, empowering them and preaching truth, they will always focus on his mistake, his flaw, and his contradiction. They want to illegitimize his message, stop his progress, and the hope for the people. I'm just gonna leave y'all with that, man. Get from that what you get from that whatever you will, man. You know what I'm saying? Thank y'all for attending the Eastern District. We gonna boom this room, man, and we'll sideboard with the after party. Salute.
Thank you, Monty. Thank you, Stat. Salute to everybody.
Salute.